Hey guys, what's going on? SpitBrix here, back for another LEGO Ninjago video, and today we're going to be ranking every LEGO Ninjago spinner that has ever been created. Now, since 2011, LEGO has produced 8 distinctive lines of spinners for the LEGO Ninjago line, and so with saying that, since this list is mostly derived from my personal opinions, your guys' may be different, so be sure to comment down below your guys' favorite spinners, or maybe your guys' rankings as well. Of course, if you do go on to enjoy today's Ninjago video, please let me know with a like rating down below, and let's go ahead and jump right in. In 8th place, or in other words, unfortunately, last place, we have the LEGO Ninjago Dragon Masters. These were released under Season 9 Hunted, and honestly were backed by a very creative concept, but were just not executed properly. I like to call these the downgraded Airjitsu Flyers because that's really what they are, and that's ironic considering that they have wings on them and they fly worse. From my experiences with these flyers, the main problem stems from the fact that the main capsule itself, or the main part of the flyer, is simply just too heavy, and it's very hard to use the ripcord to produce enough momentum for this spinner to really fly out and go a sizable distance. These Dragon Master Flyers had very limited uses. Really, you could just launch them forward, and that's about it. And you know what else could do that? Yeah, the Airjitsu Flyers. We'll talk about those later in this video. And honestly, it was just underwhelming to play with these, because you'd expect that they would go farther, but they'd always disappoint you every time. And honestly, the only valid reason to buy one of these were to get the minifigure inside, specifically the Golden Dragon Master. Oh, and I forgot to mention that these were a $15 price point, which is the highest of any spinner that LEGO has ever released. Up next on my list here in 7th place, or in other words, if you want to look at it in a condescending manner, the second worst spinner, we have the Ninjago Spinjitzu Masters. And I don't think these were necessarily bad, however, they could have been better. These were released in 2018, or at least most of them were. We had one releasing in very late 2017 in the conclusion of the LEGO Ninjago movie sets, and that was to kind of move fans into the theme itself. LEGO here tried to reboot the Ninjago Spinjitzu Spinners with these sort of capsule pods, but for me, personally, being a Ninjago fan from the very beginning, from 2011, these just aren't the same as the original spinners. Also, it was kind of annoying that these required such a large space to use, because you basically had two options here. Either you try and find a space inside and hope that whenever you launch it, it doesn't run into the wall or damage something or hit something off a shelf or something like that, or you go outside, play with it in the driveway or on the pavement, and then it gets all scuffed up. I feel like there's a very large gap though between this set here and the previous Dragon Masters that we just looked at, because these Spinjitzu Masters actually worked. In fact, they worked very well. They could spin for an extended period of time, and they could also spin very fast, and they were easy to use for the most part. And so honestly, this was a good product, but just not as good as the rest of the spinners we've gotten. Let's move on to 6th place here, in which that goes to the LEGO Ninjago Spinjitzu Spinners that were released in 2019 around the waves of LEGO Ninjago Legacy. These spinners were incredibly customizable and had an awesome spinner piece on there with a lot of different colors, and were completely unique for each of the characters or each of the ninja or villains that came in the sets. I personally really like these because it showed that LEGO saw that we didn't want ripcords anymore, and so it was a great step in the right direction, which obviously paved the way for even better spinners and new launching mechanisms later down the road, which we'll cover in a bit. Just a few complaints I have about these spinners is that first off, they were kind of difficult to spin, and honestly, whenever you'd spin the ninja, sometimes their ninja wrap would fly off, as you guys probably saw if you guys watched my battle video between Jay and Kai. But in the end, I mean, that's not really a big deal. And the other thing that stood out is that the minifigures in these sets were not at all exclusive whatsoever. They were very common. They're just the legacy minifigures, and so there was no draw to the set for exclusive minifigures like LEGO likes to do nowadays. Moving into the middle tiers of this list, we have spinners that were kind of average when compared to other ones that we have received, and 5th place here goes to the Spinjitzu Slam sets. For Season 11, we got to see these spinners, which introduced a brand new launching mechanism, hence the name Spinjitzu Slam, because you would slam down on the lever to launch the spinner outwards. Now, although the Forbidden Spinjitzu Ninja minifigures are regarded as some of the coolest minifigures that LEGO has made for this line, there were also some that were, they could have been a little bit better, Jay. But anyways, we also have the fact that it was kind of difficult to battle these against each other, because whenever they would collide with something, they would simply just topple over and stop spinning. And so there wasn't much of a battle aspect, unlike some of the artwork on the box art would kind of depict. This was also a pretty small wave of spinners here with only 4 different sets, which honestly doesn't really matter too much to me, but that is something I wanted to point out. Moving to the 4th best Ninjago spinner, just barely not making the top 3, we have a spinner that also had a very small set range, or in fact it's out right now. From Season 13, we have the Spinjitzu Burst Ninjago Spinners. It's pretty obvious that these are extremely similar to the Spinjitzu Slam sets in which we just looked at because of the launching mechanism. It's practically the same exact thing. And also, you may be wondering, well, do I even have any of these spinners yet, as they are not officially released in the United States? And to that, I'd have to say no, I don't have these. But that is why I used you guys over on Instagram to help me out in formulating some opinions on these burst sets, because I didn't know which was better, the burst sets or the slam sets. Now, you watching this video, if you also have one of these, let me know you guys' opinions down below. But basically, among all the opinions, the common theme was that the minifigures are better in these burst sets, and also the unique design and pieces were just a very clever combination. I also received a few of you guys that mentioned that this is basically a Spinjitzu Slam set, but with an extra burst feature, and so it's almost as if you're buying a Slam set, but it's upgraded, right? It has another feature to it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, as far as complaints on the other side, I heard a lot that the burst action of the spinner itself doesn't always activate properly, and you really have to slam down on the lever to get it to burst outward and then come back in. Now, I'd like to add a little bit of my feedback, is that that blue rubber band needs to have been changed. I still don't know why they have a blue rubber band there. You guys may have heard me talk about this in my analysis video of the Spinjitzu Burst sets. I don't know why they chose blue. Is that the only color they have? They couldn't make any other color. I mean, even making like a white or black one or something instead of a blue that stands out completely. I don't know. Starting off the top 3 here as my 3rd favorite spinner wave that we have received, they are the Airjitsu Flyers. Maybe from the thumbnail you thought that I would have said that I do not like these, but I got you there. I actually really do love these Airjitsu Flyers. Now, this was the very first time back in 2015 that we saw ripcords introduced, and everyone started comparing these to like Beyblades and stuff, and no one really knew if this was good or bad, and it turned out that the Airjitsu Flyers is probably the best spinner that uses a ripcord type mechanism. Also, it just so happens that LEGO made some absolutely incredible ninja minifigures that came along with these Airjitsu Flyers, and if you're looking at picking up any of these flyers to buy for yourselves nowadays, they go for a pretty high premium over their original $10 price tag because they are still in demand to this day. Plus, there's some added weapons that come in each set, and overall this was a very successful transition that LEGO was able to produce here to kind of transition away from the classic style of battle spinners on the ground to these Airjitsu Flyers in the air. Now, as we jump into the top 2 here, let me just preface this section by saying that it was extremely hard to pick the number 1. In fact, number 1 and number 2 were so closely ranked, in my personal opinion, that I was flip-flopping them as I was preparing this video. But I think I've decided what to go with, and stick around because I have some interesting reasoning for number 1. But here's number 2. This spot is claimed by the 2012 wave of spinners for the Serpentine season of Ninjago, and in these multiple waves of spinners, actually, we received a whole bunch of upgrades to the original spinners from the year prior, including spinner attachments and crowns that go on top, as well as brand new cards, in which I collected all of them actually. You guys can see them on screen right now. Additionally, this wave of spinners generated the most valuable spinner set currently at this time. It's the Yeah, no, it's not that. It's the Energy J spinner. This guy was sold out all over. I don't know, it was just very popular, that, or it didn't have as many produced at the time, but this is the most valuable spinner to this day if you were to try and buy him in a brand new condition, and unopened, I should say. In fact, the current second most valuable spinner from Ninjago also came out in this same wave, which was the Lloyd ZX spinner. Has a golden spinner with all 4 of the elements, and a really cool spinner crown that goes on top. And now, as we move into my favorite wave of Ninjago Spinners, just as a reminder, I want to hear your guys' opinions down below, so be sure to comment your guys' favorite spinners, or maybe do your own ranking. But anyways, my favorite spinner has got to be the LEGO Ninjago movie fidget spinner. I mean, I love fidget spinners. Yes, dude, this is exactly what we needed, exactly what everybody wanted, a fidget spinner for Ninjago. By far the best spinner ever. But in all seriousness, my favorite spinners have got to be the original ones back from 2011. These were the OG spinners that really defined Ninjago and set it on its pace of success, basically. I mean, think about it. Ninjago has been around since 2011. It's 2020 right now. That's almost 10 years of Ninjago sets, which is absolutely insane. But there was just something about these sets, such as this very iconic Kai spinner right here. This is probably the most iconic Ninjago set out of all of them. Kai was basically the face of Ninjago for the entirety of 2011 and really shaped the progression and development of the theme itself. I mean, I remember buying these sets. I ended up collecting every single spinner from 2011, and thus I do have the entire complete collection of Ninjago cards here. And also something I wanted to point out, you know, the spinners themselves, there's a reason why they're here at number 1, not just for nostalgic factor, but also they actually had a better design than the ones in 2012, in my opinion, because on the sides it was more curved. And so what you could do with that is position them and spin them in a way that would make them kind of like attack your opponent from the side. So there was more of a strategic play you could do with these original ones back from 2011, which I really liked. And so that was my complete ranking of every LEGO Ninjago spinner. Check out the videos on screen right now if you guys want to see more LEGO Ninjago spinner videos. As always, I'm SpitBrix. Have a great day. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video coming very soon.